This is 1.1 Themes and Concepts of Biology, Part 2 by Jaden Song and Alessandra Cao. Levels of organization of living things. Living things are highly organized and structured. They follow a hierarchy from small to big. The atom is the smallest and most fundamental unit of matter. It consists of a nucleus surrounded by electrons, and atoms form molecules. A molecule consists of at least two atoms held together by a chemical bond. Many molecules are called macromolecules. Large molecules that are typically formed by combining smaller units called monomers. An example would be DNA. Some cells contain aggregates of macromolecules surrounded by membranes, organelles. Organelles are small structures that exist within cells and perform specialized functions. Cells are classified as either prokaryotic or eukaryotic. Prokaryotes lack organelles surrounded by a membrane and do not have nuclei surrounded by nuclear membranes. Eukaryotes do have membrane-bound organelles and nuclei. In most multicellular organisms, cells combine to make tissues. Organs are a collection of tissues grouped together based on a common function. An example would be vertebrate animals have many organ systems such as circulatory systems that transport blood throughout the body and to go from the lungs. It includes organs such as the heart and blood vessels. Single-celled prokaryotes and single-celled eukaryotes are also considered organisms and are typically referred to as microorganisms. Figure 1.8. It shows from an atom to the entire Earth. Biology examines all aspects of life. It goes from the atom to molecule to organelles to cells to tissue to organs and organ systems to organisms, populations, and communities to ecosystems, and finally to the biosphere. All individuals of a species living within a specific area are collectively called a population. An example would be a forest may include many white pine trees. All these pine trees represent the population of white pine trees in this forest. Different populations may live in the same specific area. An example would be the forest with the pine trees includes populations of flowering plants and also insects and microbial populations. A community is the set of populations inhabiting a particular area. An example would be all of the trees, flowers, insects, and other populations in a forest form the forest community. The forest itself is an ecosystem. An ecosystem consists of all living things or non-living things in a particular area together. The biosphere is the collection of all ecosystems and it represents the zones of life on Earth. It includes land, water, and portions of the atmosphere.
Diversity of life. So, diversity in life on Earth comes from evolution. And evolution is the process of gradual change where new species arise from older species. Evolutionary biologists study the evolution of living things. Carl Linnaeus in the 18th century proposed to organizing the species of organisms into hierarchical taxonomy. Similar genera are placed within a family. Grouping continues until all the organisms are included in the groups. Our taxonomic system includes 8 levels of lowest to highest: species, genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom, and domain. So species are grouped into genera are grouped into families, and so on. And this is figure 1.9. The 3 domains of life are eukarya, archaea, and the bacteria. Eukarya contains organisms that have cells with nuclei. An example is the kingdom of fungi, plants, animals, and some kingdoms of protists. Archaea are single-celled organisms without nuclei. This includes extremophiles that live in harsh environments, and they live in hot springs. Bacteria are single-celled organisms without nuclei. Archaea and bacteria are prokaryotes, which is the informal name for cells without nuclei. Certain bacteria, now archaea, were genetically and biochemically different from other bacterial cells as they were from eukaryotes. So this is why life was divided into 3 domains. And below is figure 1.10. A shows a scanning electron micrograph showing bacteria cells, which is in the domain of bacteria. B shows extremophiles in the hot spring, which is a domain of archaea. And C and D shows a sunflower and a lion, and they both fall into the domain of eukarya. So Linnaeus also named organisms using 2 names using the binomial naming system. Binomial names consist of the genus name, which are capitalized, and species name, which are lowercase. Every species has a unique binomial name. An example would be the North American blue jay, which is also known as the Cyanocida cristata, and we humans are known as Homo sapiens. Branches of biological study. Biology contains many branches, so biologists may work in a certain focus field. Molecular biology studies biological processes at a molecular level. They study interactions among molecules such as DNA, RNA, and proteins. Since microbiology is the study of the structure and function of microorganisms, there are several studies within this field. Microphysiologists, ecologists, and geneticists. Biological study has a field, neurobiology, that studies the nervous system, and it's recognized as an interdisciplinary field of study, which is neuroscience. This subdiscipline studies several functions of the nervous system with different approaches: molecular, cellular, developmental, medical, computational approaches. Paleontology is another branch of biology that studies fossils to show the history of life. Zoology and botany are studies of animals and plants. Biologists can specialize as biotechnologists, ecologists, or physiologists. Ecologists study interactions of organisms in their environment. Physiologists study the workings of cells, tissues, and organs. Knowledge of biology can benefit us positively. Biologists continue to decipher mysteries about life, and consider that we have only begun to understand life on the planet, its history, and our relationship to it. Figure 1.12 shows researchers working on excavating dinosaur fossils at a site in Spain.
Thank you for listening.